face-up shot. She can play the 3 or the 4. She's going to get on the glass.
And muscling it up there, just not afraid to make...
The conference room at Sports Tech Industries in Florida gleamed under the sunlight streaming through floor-to-ceiling windows, the polished marble reflecting both the weight of the moment and the promise of $500 million, the largest endorsement deal ever offered in women's sports history. Caitlin Clark sat poised at the mahogany table, her fingers hovering above a pen that could secure her financial future and elevate her status as a global icon. The executives smiled, confident, polished, practiced in the art of persuasion. This partnership will revolutionize women's sports, the company president said, leaning forward, silver hair gleaming under the lights. You'll be the face of our youth programs, bringing basketball courts to underserved communities, funding after-school initiatives, creating scholarships. Millions of children will benefit, Caitlin. You'll change lives. The words sounded flawless, meticulously rehearsed, and yet, amidst the grandeur and the numbers, a whisper of doubt tickled the edges of Caitlin's instincts. The same instincts that had guided her on the court for years, the gut feeling that something wasn't quite right. Before she could probe further, the conference room door burst open. A young woman, barely 19, uniformed in the building's maintenance attire, stumbled into the room, hair tousled, breath ragged from her hurried entry. The executive's irritation flared instantly. "This is a private meeting. Security," the president barked. But Caitlin raised a hand, her voice steady and commanding. "Let her speak." The young woman, Rachel, hands trembling, fixed her gaze on Caitlin and said, almost in a whisper that grew stronger with each word, "Miss Clark, you can't sign that contract. You need to know the truth about what they're really doing." The room went still. Rachel's voice trembled at first, then gained momentum. She explained that her father, the night janitor, had uncovered documents, emails, and financial records, that proved Sports Tech Cares, the arm of the company responsible for the youth programs, was a sham. Millions earmarked for children in Detroit, Chicago, and Atlanta were being siphoned through shell companies, disguised as charitable donations, while children went without courts, equipment, or coaching. Caitlin's stomach nodded. Every document, every photograph Rachel scrolled through on her phone confirmed the fraud. Bills for courts never built, invoices for equipment never delivered, salaries for phantom youth coordinators. The meticulousness of the deception only heightened the horror. The president tried to dismiss her, claiming she was unstable or seeking money, but Rachel countered sharply. $37 million had been taken from the very children these programs claimed to serve over the past 3 years. Caitlin's mind raced. She thought of her own foundation, how rigorously she oversaw every dollar, every program, every child impacted, and how passionately she had built it to serve communities honestly and effectively. This was the exact opposite of everything she stood for. The executives whispered urgently to one another, their polished smiles faltering as they realized the moment had escaped their control. Caitlin's attention was entirely on Rachel, on the proof, on the injustice. Her decision to act or not would not just affect her career or wealth, but the very lives of children whose futures had been stolen. She asked Rachel to show her everything, and as they reviewed the documents together, the enormity of the deception became clear. The executive's carefully crafted narrative collapsed under the weight of undeniable truth, exposing greed hidden beneath philanthropy. Caitlin's instincts, honed over years of reading opponents and defenders alike, now guided her beyond basketball, into a moral crucible that tested the core of her character. In the tense minutes that followed, she weighed her options. Sign the deal and reap the unprecedented financial rewards, or refuse and risk alienating a major corporation while defending the rights of the children affected. The room felt impossibly small, every polished surface reflecting the gravity of the choice before her. Rachel stood steadfast, the urgency in her eyes mirroring the silent plea of her father, whose courage in bringing the documents forward had risked both his livelihood and his family's security. Caitlin understood with crystal clarity that wealth and fame were meaningless without integrity. The janitor's daughter had not simply walked in to deliver a warning. She had brought a mirror, reflecting what Caitlin's life, Her choices and her values truly represented the executive's attempts to regain control. Frantic phone calls to security, whispered arguments, the subtle shifting of papers were drowned out by the undeniable weight of truth in the room. Caitlin's decision, once made, would send a message far beyond the walls of sports tech industries. That integrity and justice are worth more than money. That standing up for what is right is a form of leadership as vital as any championship won on the court. She took a deep breath, feeling the energy of the room tighten around her, aware that every eye was on her, waiting for her choice, as if the fate of the children themselves depended on it. In that moment, Caitlin Clark became more than an athlete. She became a defender of truth, a guardian for those whose voices were unheard, demonstrating that true greatness is measured not only in accolades and earnings, but in courage, empathy, and the willingness to confront corruption, even when it threatens everything you've worked for. The world outside would later remember this as the day Caitlin Clark refused to be complicit, the day a janitor's daughter helped unveil the truth, and the day a young athlete proved that integrity can outweigh even the most dazzling opportunities, setting a precedent that would ripple across sports and corporate responsibility for years to come. Every second in that boardroom reinforced a lesson Caitlin had learned on countless courts. That leadership is shown not only in personal skill but in protecting others, in standing for justice when no one else will, and in choosing right over convenient. As Rachel's story unfolded and the executive's deception became undeniable, Caitlin realized that fame, money, and accolades could never replace the moral clarity of acting for those who could not act for themselves. Her pen hovered, not in hesitation over financial gain, but over the weight of responsibility she now bore. The $500 million contract that had promised to make her the richest female athlete in history now symbolized a test far greater than any championship, a test of character, conscience, and courage. And when Caitlin finally spoke, her voice was calm yet resolute, echoing through the marble and glass, marking the beginning of a reckoning that would forever alter the landscape of sports endorsements, corporate accountability, and
Cowan, and tough to shoot over that, but Williams does. Elizabeth Williams.
The boardroom at Sports Tech Industries in Florida had never felt smaller, despite its grandiose expanse of polished marble and floor-to-ceiling windows that overlooked downtown Indianapolis. Caitlin Clark sat at the mahogany table, the $500 million contract before her, each zero a symbol of unprecedented wealth, fame, and opportunity, the kind most athletes could only dream of. The executive smiled, radiating confidence, exuding the practiced charm of corporate persuasion, but something in Caitlin's instincts, a combination of years spent reading the court and trusting her gut, warned her that not everything was as it seemed. She was about to become the richest female athlete in history, yet in that precise moment, a janitor's daughter was about to walk in and upend everything. Rachel, barely 19, burst through the conference room doors, uniform rumpled, breath ragged, hair disheveled from her dash. The executives stiffened immediately, irritation flashing in their eyes. "This is a private meeting. Security!" barked the president, but Caitlin, accustomed to commanding attention both on the court and in the press, raised her hand. "Let her speak," she said, her voice calm yet imbued with authority. Rachel's trembling hands revealed a phone filled with evidence, documents her father, Miguel Santos, a night janitor,